in these days, people, if they talk about digital dentistry, they'll feel that digital dentistry is just pertaining to CAD CAM or digital planning of implants and stuff, but that's not it. Like each and everything that we do in dentistry is somehow like we have ourselves integrated in digital dentistry in our practice. Recently delivered a crown with a drone from my lab to my colleague's clinic, which is located almost 1.9 kilometers away.
So you used a drone.
Yeah, I used the drone to navigate from my clinic to his place. He was on his terrace. So that was a fun thing that I did.
One thing you wish to change in the Indian dentistry scene?
The whole BDS curriculum, basically.
Hi everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of the MADtherapy Sessions podcast.
Our guest for today is Dr. Tej Joshi. He's completed his masters in Prosthodontics and has his private practice in Mumbai. Dr. Tej is a certified paragliding pilot, a scuba dive instructor, and a licensed drone pilot.
The audio podcast is available on Spotify and Anchor. The links to that and the description down below. Drop a like if you like this video and consider subscribing if you end up loving it. And also don't forget to comment down below your thoughts on the podcast. Till then, enjoy the episode.
So Dr. Tej, what is digital dentistry?
So hi Arib, good morning.
Good morning.
So digital dentistry is basically, frankly speaking, it's bullshit.
Okay.
But yeah, digital dentistry is something that you should go into once you I have not mastered my basics, I can't say that obviously. But digital dentistry is something that you should get into once you have like kind of got a very good hold on your analog skills.
Okay.
And once you have almost mastered your analog skills, that's the time when you go into digital dentistry.
So what's like a better term for digital dentistry? If not,
See, digital dentistry is a very vague term now. Like for X-rays, I doubt anyone would be using the films, the age-old Kodak speed films,
Understood.
which we used to use.
True.
Everyone has an RVG these days. You have a Vista scan, like you have a phosphoplate system. So that is also digital dentistry. Now, if you check your setup, like you yourself have a screen in front of the patients. So that is also a digital term. So digital dentistry is a very vague term.
So how would you better describe it? I think digital dentistry is used because so that people understand. But then
I think it's a very misleading term.
okay.
Now, the digital dentistry has like what majorly the concept is like in these days, people, if they talk about digital dentistry, they'll feel that digital dentistry is just pertaining to CAD CAM or digital planning of implants and stuff, but that's not it. Like each and everything that we do in dentistry is somehow like we have ourselves integrated in digital dentistry in our practice. We are not aware of it ourselves, but yeah, we have graduated to digital dentistry from what we have been doing in the past like 8 to 10 years. I remember during our UG days, like I remember we were in first year or second year BDS days. During those days, intraoral scanning is not something that we could have ever thought of.
True.
Even RVG was not something that we could think of because it was in internship when I started using the films we started taking X-rays in third year, right?
Yeah.
Third year basically. So it's still internship. What we learned was nothing like digital as such. Even the OPGs that we had the old films, if you remember.
Yeah.
So yeah, but now if you talk about even those OPG machines, they are obsolete. Like no one uses those OPG machines these days. So we are moving on to digital dentistry. We have already incorporated it in our day-to-day practice. Just that we are not very much aware of it.
So how is your digital dentistry different from others?
It's not. I won't say that it's different from others or anything as such. It's obviously the softwares and the stuff which I use. It's available for everyone worldwide. It's the same.
But you have implemented more of them in your daily practice.
So it's not implemented. It's like I've adapted to it. If we talk about CAD CAM dentistry or 3D printing, it's something that I feel like it's not an absolute necessary, but even if you have a normal basic clinic and if you have a lab which you're associated with, which has a good setup, which has a decent software, which has a decent 3D printer and milling machine, you yourself are incorporating digital dentistry in your practice. it's not necessary for you to have the softwares and stuff, because what you can do is these days, softwares like TeamViewer or any desk where you can remotely operate a PC from the comfort of your home
Right,
as well.
right, yeah.
So what you can do is, if your lab also has the software, you can just ask your lab guys to start the TeamViewer, and you can sit at the comfort of your couch at your home, and you can do your designing and stuff from the comfort of your home. So you don't basically need to have those softwares. Even if your labs, if you have associated with a good lab, you can practice digital dentistry.
So can you help us run through a digital workflow as what happens?
Right. Suppose now if you're like, let's talk about the prosto PGs which work in the college these days. So talking about prosto PGs, like imagine like if you call a patient at 10 a.m. for tooth prep.
Okay.
So basically at 10 a.m. you will be starting with the tooth prep, 3-unit lower bridge. Let's talk hypothetically 3-unit lower bridge.
Okay.
So by around 11:30 you would have been done. 1.5 hours is more than enough for the preps. So by 11:30 you would be done with your preps.
Yeah.
From 11:30 to 12 maximum you can make your impressions, pour your cast and send it to the lab guys. Just that half of the day will go in the transit. Like the lab guy will come pick it up from your clinic or your college. He'll take it back to the lab, and after like the lab guys receive it, probably in the evening or next day morning they'll start pouring the cast.
Got it.
And if it's a PFM cap, so obviously PFM cap is not something that you incorporate in digital dentistry. That's more of a conventional dentistry what you follow.
Yeah.
So if you're following the conventional technique, the lab guys on the next day, the lab guys will start manufacturing the cap. They'll make the wax pattern. They'll do the like metal. They'll do the casting. They'll do the metal finishing. On the third day, probably your metal coping would be ready. And on the third day, the lab guys will start ceramic layering.
Right.
And on the fourth day, the lab guys would be able to deliver the crowns to you. But if you're following the digital workflow, like what you guys would do is like you'll finish off the preps at 11:30. You'll make the impressions, the intraoral scans. You can make the intraoral scans in hardly 5 to 10 minutes, not more than that. That's also maximum time what I'm talking.
It's that quick.
Sorry?
It's that quick.
Yeah, it's that quick. Impressions, like even your conventional impressions, it won't take like more than 10-15 minutes. You make impressions, I don't think it takes more than 10-15 minutes. It's almost like as comparable as to
But
conventional
still
techniques.
faster than
conventional, yeah. So you make your intraoral scans, but the best part is your transit time is avoided completely. So you can just email those scans to your lab guys. I don't think email should, with current digital speeds like the internet speed, I don't think it should take more than a minute.
Sure.
In a minute, I say hypothetically 12 o'clock. By 12 o'clock, the lab guys should receive the impressions, and they'll start like the CAD cam designing. The CAD designing is basically computer aided designing on the cast. So once they start the designing, a normal 3-unit process's designing should not take more than 5 to 10 minutes.
Wow.
So that's how quick it becomes. And after designing, they'll just feed that data into the machine, the milling machine, and the machine will mill out the final processes for you in probably like half an hour to 45 minutes max. So, and probably another 1 or 2 hours of centering cycle. So by evening, like your final processes is ready actually.
The same day.
Exactly, same day. And so the lab guys can ship it out to you on the same day itself or the next day. So probably if you are following the conventional workflow, the time at which you would be temporizing the patient, placing a temporary in his mouth, that's when you will be actually placing a final restoration in the patient's mouth.
Wow.
So that's how digital dentistry is going to revolutionize this
It's a big
field.
time saver.
A big time saver.
For both, for the
Exactly.
clinician and the patient.
Exactly. And another advantage with CAD designing is like if you don't need to articulate the casts and stuff.
Okay.
You basically make the patient's records, like even the lateral records, protrusive records in with using your intraoral scanners.
Okay.
You feed that to the software, and all the lateral movements and all are replicated by the software itself. So the high points and all those stuff also can be avoided completely.
Wow, that's impressive. So
Yeah.
how have your patients responded to this?
So basically, if it's a smile designing case, I still follow the conventional workflow where I do manual layering of ceramic by myself. And if it's digital workflow, if it's the posterior crowns and stuff, like the patients have responded very well. So the best part is we have a lab also at the clinic. So even if it's a PFM crown, I can deliver it in like the transit time is avoided basically.
Yeah.
So I can deliver it in a day and a half or 2 maximum. So the patients, they're very happy to receive the final process on the same day. And the high points and all such issues, the color shade matching and all those issues are also avoided completely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how important is the role of the supporting staff? Because you have to train them for this digital workflow. So,
So
do they need to
no,
undergo
the
any
entire
training?
digital workflow at my place is done only by me.
Okay.
So there is another technician, and my parents also, they know about all this digital stuff.
True.
So they are like a standby. But I can, the best part is like, even if I'm not there at the lab, I can remotely help them with all those things. And
That's crazy. I mean, you
yeah,
can do
exactly.
that.
If I'm going on a vacation, I can carry my laptop with me, and I can remotely, like from there, I can do the designing and stuff. And that's not just it. Like I have had many friends, not in India, but like I have few friends in Germany and stuff, who rely on remote designers basically.
Okay.
So how you have this digital like people who digital nomads basically. So you can live a life like that also if you have a proper hold on digital dentistry. What you can do is you can live somewhere in places like Bali and stuff, and they pay you around $1 or $2 for designing a crown approximately.
Okay.
That's also not a big deal for them to pay $1 or $2 for designing, because they save like a lot of time. And you but you need to have a proper design, like you need to follow proper designing protocols. You need to have a very good hand in designing. If your work is not good, obviously they're not going to, they have many other options. But yeah, even if you earn like, if you make around like 100 caps per day, you design 100 caps, that's like $100 a day, and that designing 100 caps a day won't take more than 2 or 3 hours maximum.
Got it.
So even if you work as a digital nomad, you just need to work for 2-3 hours and designing and stuff. It's like basically that's what something I see in future like happening.
So currently, what are the obstacles you're facing? I'm sure
Right.
there must be a few of them.
Obstacles as such, I am not very sure.
Like in this digital workflow,
Yeah.
there must, because it's a comparatively new technology. Right?
Okay, so basically digital technology is not a new technology. I think digital dentistry was started by Dr. Francois Duret. He's a French doctor dentist back in 1979
Wow.
in France. Yeah, and
almost
Siemens.
4 decades.
Exactly, and Siemens was the company who started like manufacturing the, along with Sirona. Right now, what we know, like what we know as Dentsply Sirona. Sirona was a different company back then, and Siemens, along with Sirona, had started manufacturing the CAD/CAM like machines back in 1992 and 93. So it's been almost 30 years. That's 3 decades. Like we have, like people have been following digital dentistry, and it's a new trend that has been introduced in India since last 8 to 10 years. So it's not something that's very new. Like people have been following it, and currently I don't see any obstacles. Earlier
okay.
days, yeah, the PCs were not that powerful, and yeah, one obstacle that we face nowadays is the chip shortage. Basically, earlier days, if you go and if you search for the GPU, the graphic processing units on Amazon, you would find a number of graphic processing units at very cheap rates. But now if you go to search for those, they are very sparse. That's because of these crypto miners. Like I wouldn't blame them, they are also doing their job. But yeah, Nvidia I think has started like making it exclusively for gamers and stuff. So that's where Nvidia is also helping us. But yeah, GPUs is a scarcity. So right now customizing a PC or a desktop has become a task, but laptops are available. So that is a hurdle that we are facing currently right now.
What PC do you use, or which laptop do you use to do your workflow?
So basically, I don't own all these PCs, but there are 3 PCs that I work on. First is a Surface Book. So Surface Book has a touchscreen interface, so that helps. That makes the work very easier because we can just rotate it on the screen and stuff.
Okay.
I have a desktop also that has also a touchscreen desktop basically, PC basically. So the PC, if you want to know the exact configurations, I don't think your audience would be that interested, but yeah, the configurations is i7. It runs RTX minimum 2070-2080 graphic processing units, and it needs to have around 32 GB of RAM.
So basically, in layman's term, you need a
Very high-end PCs, yeah, to work with digital. But the best part is, even if you have a basic PC, you can remotely operate that high-end PC from the comfort of your house.
Got it. Yeah. So, how was the learning curve? I'm sure you must have undergone some sort of training or self-training to to learn this and master it. So how was the learning curve? Was it difficult? Was
So
it easy?
learning curve was very difficult. Basically, there was back then, like 4-5 years back, there was no trainer or anything as such in India. Still, there isn't any. Like there are very few people who train in digital dentistry, and yeah, that's given because not every dentist needs to know how you're supposed to exactly design a crown and stuff. That's something that lab guys should be doing. There are few dentists who have who like doing it and who do it, but yeah, so learning a crown and bridge almost took me like a week or two. The crown and bridge module. Thing that is most difficult is partial dentures and designing implant guides and stuff. So basically, there are many lab technicians who design the implant guides, but they exactly don't know what complications the clinicians face intraorally while loading the implants,
Right.
while placing the implants. There are many clinicians who have lot of clinical experience, but they don't have any digital experience.
Yeah.
So that's where I tried bridging the gap between the two. So I placed a lot of implants during my UG days also. So during my PG days also, I placed around 60 implants, 60 to 70. I won't like it's not very high, but yeah, during the PG 3 years of a PG, it was a lot, and that's when I started practicing digital dentistry. So there were these implant companies who had this implant software planning modules, and back in my PG, like that's around in 2017 or 18, we started doing complete digital workflow.
Okay.
It has helped me a lot, but irony is these days I do not practice guided implant placements. I like opening up and I like placing implants
Like
and
more
actually
traditional way, yeah.
traditional way, and actually visualizing if the implant is in proper position or not.
So, what are the advantages of having digital dentistry over
If
conventional
you are
dentistry?
new to implantology and if you're not very confident, the digital guides, the stents, implant placement stents and stuff is definitely going to help you with your implant placement.
Okay.
But once you gain a good enough experience, I think even your normal analog techniques work equally well. And most of the times I just follow flapless techniques these days if the bone is good and stuff. Only if the bone is not good, and for using any kind of guides or stents, you need to have a good bone volume over there.
True.
And yeah, because even a millimeter of here and there is going to make a huge difference when you place implants.
Right.
That's how accurate you need to be, and that can only be possible using a combination of guided and conventional when you're in your starting days of implant placement. As you advance, as you gain some like insights into how you're supposed to place the implants and stuff, that's when you can start not like using the digital techniques, and you can just rely on your conventional hand.
Fair enough. So you also did a master's in prosthodontics.
Right.
So why prosthodontics?
So basically, when I was when I had finished my BDS and I had just started with my MDS, my family, it was going through a financial problem. I was okay with anything. Like I was okay with prostho, perio or OS. Basically, I needed to place implants. So after internship, if you remember, we had this 1 year gap before we start our PG.
True.
And I had started my clinic immediately after internship with the help of few of my friends and colleagues. So at that time, I had an implantologist who used to come and place the implants. He was an oral surgeon. So nothing against oral surgeons, but yeah, the implant placement used to be a bit wrong during that time. So, and correcting that used to be a task. So that's when I decided I had to learn implants myself. So prostho, perio and OS are the only 3 fields where you're allowed to place implants.
Right.
So I was okay with any of these 3 fields, and fortunately with my dad's support, like he was okay with me going for prostho. The fees were quite high as compared to other fields, but yeah, he was okay with it, and that's why I chose prostho as my field of subject during my PG.
So how was the overall MDS experience for you?
It was very good, like especially my HOD and my dean, who was like can name them.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, perfect. So Dr. Omkar Shetty, Dr. Gaurang Misri, they have been very good. Like they have been very kind enough to let me do whatever I wanted during my PG days.
They gave you a free hand.
They gave me a free hand basically, and I remember both of them telling me that you're not supposed to reject any patient, because I had my colleagues like who used to take selected cases and stuff, but each and every case has something to teach you.
Right.
So I think the maximum collection during my PG days was done by me, and like it used to be haywire. I remember other departments HODs coming and checking our register, because there always used to be a competition between the
Right, yeah.
departments of who earns the maximum and stuff. But yeah, it used to be funny, very funny. Like my acrylic collection used to be more than the entire other department collections.
You were like the golden goose of the department.
Yeah, so basically, I never rejected a single patient that came to me.
That's impressive.
And I never let down any patient, basically, touch wood. So any patient that used to come to me, I used to make sure that your work used to be done in the shortest time possible and the best quality of treatment possible to them. And that's the reason there wasn't any complaint against me registered during the 3 years of my post graduation. And yeah, that's something I'll boast about is my HODs. They let me do. I basically placed the implant in the first year of my MDS. Like we had to clear the vivas, we had to give a presentation before we place the implant.
Not everyone gets to do that.
Exactly. I've seen many colleges where the prosthopaedists, they hardly place 1 or 2 implants.
I know so many colleges where the prosthopaedists put implants in the final year
Exactly.
of their course.
And the worst part is, if you place the implants in the final year and you load them probably at the end of your term, you're not going to know what complications the
Right.
patients are facing and stuff.
Yeah.
So the best part was when I placed the implants in my first year MDS, I exactly knew what complications can happen. And believe me guys, PG is a time where you can go wrong. Like you have your guides and all to guide you what you are supposed to do when you go wrong, but when you start your own practice, there's no option of going wrong, because if you go wrong, there's obviously a case or a suit that's going to be pending against you or hanging over your head. So yeah, during PG, it's when I had a lot of things to do. It's where I won't say that, but I went wrong in few of my cases. Few of my implants failed. It's not something that I could also help, because implant failing is not like this thing, like it's not a very experimented, or it's not a very research topic. Yeah, that's it.
And it's a part of the experience. Like
Exactly.
when you fail, you know next time.
Exactly.
it
You
helps.
know how, what all precautions you need to take when you're supposed to avoid placing implants and
Right.
stuff. So that's where the thing, that's the most important thing that PG has taught me.
With so many highs in your master's
Right.
program, any lowest point you felt?
So lowest point for me was not in my masters but in my BDS. It was
Okay.
my first year BDS, and it was ANAT prelims.
Okay.
And I had scored 14 out of 100. Basically had flunked in my prelims. So that's when I woke up, and that was like
A wake-up call for you.
a wake up call for me, exactly. And that's when I started starting putting my efforts into studying actually, because it was a new thing. We didn't know how to work, about how to go about studying for BDS and stuff.
We are not used to failures. Like
Exactly.
So, any patient story you would want to share with us from a master's program?
All the patients used to be happy, like
Oh no, like anything which brought us, like you still remember, like you did this patient.
oh right. So basically it was a finger prosthesis.
A finger process.
A finger prosthesis. The patient
Like an
had
artificial
lost his
finger.
Yeah, exactly. The
Okay.
patient was a Baba and he had lost his finger. So we kind of 3D printed a working processes for him, and he was very happy. He continued using his finger for his job and stuff, and he was basically very happy. There have been many patients who have been in tears after they get their teeth and all. That's not something.
But dude, he's got a finger,
Exactly.
and this is something which a lot of people don't know, that dentists,
Yeah.
apart from teeth, they also make
Prosthodontists
extra oral
can-
processes
exactly.
also.
So this nose process, eye process, and ear process is something that we regularly do. It's basically most of the cases are pro bono. What we do for Tata, our lab is attached to Tata Hospital, and it was attached to Ambani Hospital.
Right.
Yeah, so most of the cases what we did for them were pro bono. We have done many finger processes and the frameworks for such processes, and the patients, they are literally in tears when they get the final processes.
I mean, it's life changing.
Exactly,
You
exactly.
think you can't get that back, and when you
Exactly.
get that back, it
Imagine
makes
a
you
patient with no nose suddenly getting a
Right.
nose. They obviously are going to be very emotional.
According to you, who should do masters in prosthodontics if they have a choice?
Basically, anyone whoever wants, whoever are eligible for it will definitely.
No, but you need to
doing it.
you need to have passion for because
Yeah, so prostho is basically not just dentistry. It's if you say it's not even 50% dentistry, it's 50% engineering and 50% dentistry.
Okay.
So if you are technically oriented, if you like gadgets, if you like engineering also, that's how
you get that in
yeah,
your
exactly,
masters.
exactly. You will get that in masters. So crown and bridge, basically, if we talk about bridge in dentistry, people just think about crowns, but that bridge, the word itself will notify it's a bridge.
Yeah. Got it. So, I mean, coming back to why you chose dentistry as your career, going back all the way back to your
So I have been
days.
born and brought up in a very dental environment. Like my parents, they owned a lab. So after my school, they were very hardworking. So after my school, they used to take me to the lab, and that's where I have spent most of my childhood days in.
Okay.
So I had a general liking for all such things, and that's how I chose dentistry.
and that influenced you.
That influenced me, yeah.
Because constantly around you, the
Exactly.
ambience was of a dental
and
thing.
the dental field is such that it's a combination of both medical and engineering.
And that's something which you like,
Exactly.
technology and engineering.
Exactly. And
So-
there are many gadgets we can get into dentistry.
So, how was your whole BDS experience?
It was a
In
fun
DY.
experience. It was a fun experience basically. And BDS was so much fun. I made such nice friends during my BDS. And yeah, all those 5 years, like I wish we could relive those moments. Like
True.
yeah.
So, what were the things you wish you did more of in your UG days? Something now when you
Yeah.
think about it, you think you should have done more of, you know?
So basically, all the professors who and guides who I used to talk to, they used to tell me to do maximum number of patients. During my endo, I think I had very like good professors like Hitesh Shetty, Hitesh Pawar, yeah. So he was the one who motivated me to do many root canals. So I had done my molar RCTs also during
That's what I'm saying. You
internship.
were the first one to start molar RCTs in
Yeah,
in
in
the batch,
internship.
in the batch,
exactly.
yeah.
I did almost 40 RCTs, but believe me, like that's hardly anything. I think that curriculum should change. Like I wish I did around 80 to 100 RCTs back in my internship, more RCTs basically, because once you are out of BDS, you are expected to know RCTs.
Yeah.
But just doing 30 or 40 cases also wasn't enough.
Okay.
So that's something that I should have done more of. And I started observing under a clinician back in like my final year BDS. But I wish I could have had started much earlier, like probably in the third year. But I
Right.
think we were like not that matured enough back then. So that's
Yeah.
also okay. Not everyone needs to like just
But then
work.
now when you say it,
Yeah.
the role of a teacher and a guide is so important, because if they give you a free hand,
So yeah, it's not the role of a teacher or a guide. It's basically the mindset. Now, if your guide is very rigid, like if they just follow the age-old techniques, if the guide is just CPD, cast partial dentures, they won't let you place implants. That's not going to let you progress. The guides need to give you a free hand. Like they need to let you do whatever you want to do, whatever your liking is, because everyone's liking is going to be different. Like now, frankly speaking, like if I ask you, you would be interested in specific, you are interested in sports dentistry,
Right.
but that's not something that is taught at all in BDS, right?
right?
So exactly, so that's something that and not everything is pertaining to a particular field what your guide likes. So if your guides are open-minded, that's going to be a very big boon for you.
That helps a lot.
Exactly.
Any funny story or memories you want to share from your UG days?
Oh, so UG days, okay.
Yeah.
So I think we were in a second year microbiology. I think microbiology is in second year, right? Yeah. So I had this friend of mine, Prashant. He is a very good friend of mine. So basically, for some reason, he and one more friend of mine, let's not name him. So we had to like stain the slides. Like it used to be some bacteria, and we had to inject some dyes onto it, burn it and stuff, and see it under the microscope. So basically, I did all that. Like I got there was some staining on my bacteria, and I could see those under the microscope. But my friend, he wasn't able to see that, and it was a final university exam. So he came to me, and he was like, "What do I do? What do I do?" And he was freaked out. And I also tried doing it. Nothing happened. So I just put his slide in the wash basin, because to discard it. And I asked him to get a new slide because the staining wasn't happening.
Right.
So he got a new slide, he tried doing it, and nothing happened. And the examiners were supposed to come in another 3-4 minutes to see. So I just out of random, I was like, let's just check the other slide. If that's better, this one's better. And what happened is in that drain, like everyone used to just throw away the extra dyes and stuff.
Right.
So for some reason, that slide stained so well that the examiners came and he was literally like flabbergasted. He was like, oh my god, this slide is like better than the demo slides that they have in the department. How did he do it and stuff? And that's how, like, I don't know how things worked out for him, but he scored he topped that exam basically. He topped that exam.
I was gonna ask you, did he pass?
Exactly. He passed and he topped that exam. The examiners were very impressed with him. Yeah, and that's how it was funny experience actually.
I still remember one incident where I think we were in you were in Prosto.
Right.
No, you were in Cons.
Okay.
And the other, like, there were a few other guys, we were in Perio. And you made this string,
the telephone.
The telephone.
Okay. I remember that. I think that was in between Prosto and Perio.
So before you start, I mean, people who were, and it was early morning, 8:30.
Yeah.
So people who were walking in, entering the coach, I'm like, ये क्या हो रहा है?
Yeah.
Like एक धागा लटक रहा था and two.
Exactly. So what had happened was me and my friend Altamash, like he's a very close friend of mine. So we had nothing to do and in internship in Prosto, like we just had to spend some time because we were waiting for the professors and the patients and there was literally nothing to do. So I don't know what, out of random we got this idea. And like passing that string from 3rd floor to 5th floor, and it was the thing was at 90-degree angle.
Yeah.
So doing that was a bit tough thing, but once we established that communication line in between Prosto and Perio, it was a different experience. Like what we did, we relived our childhood memories maybe at that time, and that's the reason like everyone was so surprised that even the staff came and they were trying to talk onto it.
Yeah,
and it was a fun
so
thing that we did.
from the 3rd floor to the 5th floor, just using those
strings.
A string.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Any advice you would want to give to the students who have just joined dentistry as a BDS or who want to make dentistry their career?
So the major advice I would like to tell them is like start early, start observing right when they are 2nd year or in 3rd year BDS. So they'll exactly know where their liking is. Like I have many people who message me on Instagram saying like, what do we do? So I have to tell them that I'm not a career counselor and it's best like, see, I won't know what situation you are in, how economically
true.
your family is, what's your financial status, and how early you need to start earning and stuff. So that's something each and every person has to decide for themselves.
Right.
And after internship, if they get this thought of deciding, that's very late. Because they hardly have 6 months or 8 months to decide what they have to do actually. So start early, start doing cases, start working on patients, do as many cases as you want and see where your liking is. And that will help you a lot in the long run.
So start early.
Yeah, exactly. And obviously like not like don't compromise on the fun part of it. Have fun, obviously have fun. But at the same time, don't be very lenient. Don't be like very laid back and stuff.
It's a career-changing thing, yeah.
Exactly. If you need to get going early in life, then you need to start early.
So you have been a clinician since almost a decade now. I mean, in a few...
2014, 15,
so like close to a decade.
Yeah.
So, according to you, is dentistry still a viable career option in 2022?
Definitely it is. So I know many people complain that there's saturation and stuff.
Right.
So that is an aspect of it, but like use that to your advantage basically.
Because
don't go behind money. Yeah, population's also more. Don't go behind money. Practice ethically. If you practice ethically, there's nothing that can go wrong. When you gain that patient's trust, believe me, that patient is never going to leave you. So that's most important thing.
Like you have your own lab. So according to you, should private dentists and practitioners
so basically it's not my lab, my parents they are into this business
like you're attached to one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So like according to you, should dentists have their own labs?
With me it was a different thing because I had a lab. That was a very fortunate thing for me basically. But having own lab is very important. Like basically you can do your own characterization. If you are doing a smile designing, you can like make sure where your lying angles are, how like what shape of that tooth you need to give depending on the SPF factors. Like, and such things are possible only if you have your own lab.
But it's not necessary.
It's not necessary though.
It can be a luxury.
Yeah, it can be a luxury. If you don't have a lab, you need to have that mindset that you are okay with going to the lab, doing the work by yourself, seeing how the technicians do it and stuff, guiding them, and coming back to your clinic. If you're okay with that, yeah, definitely. Like in the initial days, obviously it's going to be a big investment for like establishing your own lab.
Yeah.
So it's not necessary that you need to have your own lab, but you need to have that mindset that you are willing to work.
Yeah, got it.
If you have that, then definitely it's going to help you out.
So, what according to you are the key factors which needs attention when someone is putting their own practice? So, for example, if there's a dentist out there and tomorrow, like in the next 6 months or a year, he wants to set up his own practice.
Right.
So, according to you, what are the key factors he should consider before putting up one?
So first is gain your skills properly. Have good set of skills before you start your own practice. You, as I told you, cannot go wrong when you start your own practice. Go work under someone, go observe under someone who will actually be willing to teach you.
Yeah.
If you feel you're not confident about a particular thing, don't do it. Like, don't rush into it. Obviously the experiences are going to teach you, but our field is not something that you need to learn from your experiences. And start basic. Like, you need not have a very fancy setup. Like, even I started with a very basic setup, a single chair and a single compressor which was inside the chair clinic and all. Slowly I started upgrading the clinic, and like,
That's very important. Like,
Exactly.
people assume that you have to start from the very start. You have to start a very
Fancy thing and stuff.
place, but that's not the case.
Exactly. Basically, the patients are going to come to you with trust and for getting, like, for your skills basically. They're not going to come to you for your interiors and stuff. So I've had like few patients who are big CEOs and stuff also. But they are not very like impressed with the interiors of my clinic. They are more impressed with my honesty and the work which I do.
And your soft skills also matter. The way you
Soft
talk.
skills, exactly. The way you talk and stuff is also important.
Because
But the way you explain them, like if you explain them each and everything, that involve them in the process basically. If you don't involve them in the process,
that's great. Involve them.
Yeah.
Because I've seen patients like who come to my practice after being not happy with other doctors.
Yeah.
You know what they say? हमको मालूम ही नहीं उन्होंने क्या किया.
Exactly. That's very
उन्होंने
wrong
खाली
thing to
बोले
do.
कि ये करना है.
Because like every patient deserves to know what is happening in their body and what we are doing to their body.
Right.
That's their body.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. They deserve to know what is happening inside them.
Exactly. And if you're just like those, like, I won't be like this thing, but old dentists who are like up at either and they'll just do and like let you go. That's not something. Like, we are living in 2022 now. Like, it's not something we should be doing.
It's a different world now.
Exactly. The generations have changed.
So we just went through one of the worst phases for any dentist out there is the pandemic.
Right.
I mean, as a dentist, I think we suffered the most professionally. So how did the pandemic?
That's a wrong thing. Actually, if you see our profession, it's a very recession-proof profession. Like, if a patient has a pain in his tooth, he is definitely going to need a dentist.
What I mean is, in the pandemic, I know so
The
many dentists
practice
who
was
had to
less.
shut their own practice, who could not because their practice was in such a place that COVID infested area. So
exactly.
they had to shut practices. They could not open.
So that's very important, Arib, that you need to have your proper knowledge. Like, I researched a lot on COVID, on how the virus is transferred.
So that was my question. How did the pandemic affect you and your practice?
So I tried to do maximum possible things for my practice. We tried getting the PPE kits. We tried sourcing it as soon as possible, and a proper kit, like not some random kit that someone's selling. A proper approved CE approved, DRDO approved kit, a proper N95 mask, and proper precautions that had to be taken. Like, fortunately, I had the proper suction units which used to like expel the aerosols and stuff just outside the working space and stuff.
Right.
So that helped me a lot. And
Well, I remember that was a major issue initially, the aerosol issue.
Aerosols. And like, very simple thing to do is aerosols in dentistry is generated from an aerota or an air turbine, right?
Right.
Just add chlorhexidine into your air turbine water. How better can that help you?
Right.
Just have
Makes sense.
you just add chlorhexidine into your water, aerosols. Your aerosols won't be transferring bacteria. In fact, they'll be killing the bacteria.
That's like a very smart and simple
Exactly.
move to
Simple,
do.
very simple things. There are some simple things.
And I think this got complicated
Exactly.
because of lack of communication from the
Lack of knowledge and lack of communication, and
Right.
that's where like knowledge plays a major issue. Where like if you just like follow the trends and stuff, if you follow the media, it's going to like confuse you, it's going to scare you and stuff. But don't fall for all such things. Have a proper knowledge, research about it yourself, and that's how things are going to help you out.
Also, are you interested in teaching students or?
So basically, this is something I like to go for when I feel like I am
Ready?
confident, and when I'm ready myself, and when I feel I have like gone a step above than rest of the population in acquiring knowledge and stuff, like interns basically who are coming out of dentistry, and I'm not talking about the clinicians, already practicing clinicians. So when I feel that I'm actually qualified enough to teach them, that's where I thought
But-
I'll start my own courses and stuff.
But you want to.
Yeah, I want to. So right now I've just started, like I've just put like yesterday only I had placed an ad on Instagram.
I saw that.
Yeah, not an ad, basically I had posted on Instagram. That's where I like to teach the interns who are just passing, who have passed out and work at least for a year, or PGs like who have just passed out or just are in final year of the post graduation days, who have gained some experience on how they can incorporate like newer trends and how they can like amalgamate the age-old dentistry to the newer trends.
That's very smart, because I
Exactly.
don't know such courses happening. Either they teach you conventional,
Yeah,
or they
digital.
teach you very advanced, which the newbies don't.
Exactly.
I mean, they don't deserve to know right now.
Exactly. So I'm taking the best of both the worlds and I'm trying to amalgamate them and teach it to the students basically. I'll be doing that in another upcoming 2 or 3 months probably.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
that's not far. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Let's wait for it and see how things work out.
right. So we'll move up to the last section of our podcast, and that's like the rapid fire
Right.
section.
Okay.
So, and it's one of my personal favorite, because I want to know also, because I'm sure you use. I'll start with that. So, your favorite dental instrument?
Okay, favorite dental instrument, it's a Copeland elevator.
Okay, and why?
I use it for basically everything. I use it for my crown removals. I use it as a VAM key. I use it for my extractions. And that makes life a lot easier.
I was expecting some prosthocentric.
Nothing. No, not an intraoral scanner. No loop. Okay, loops. Loops also very important. Magnification is the most important thing in dentistry.
Any brands you would recommend personally? I mean, because you.
Okay, so brands, instead of brands, what you can do is you can ask those guys for a demo.
Okay.
Those guys will definitely give you a demo loop for like probably 2 or 3 weeks, and you can try using it in your clinical practice. And whichever brand you're comfortable with, you can obviously go for that.
Okay.
Zeiss, Admitech, all those brands are equally good. Make sure you get a good set of brands, because that's going to help your posture also, or your ergonomics, and that will help you do good work basically.
Any one thing you should see before buying a loop, according to your experience?
Yeah, loop, like you have to make sure you get it with the illumination. Any loops are fine, but minimum magnification is 2.5 or 3.5x.
Okay.
So that's what I'll recommend most. If you're just doing oral prophylaxis, if you're a hygienist, then you can go for 2.5. But for normal dentistry, if you're doing practicing good general dentistry with root canals and tooth preps, you need to go for at least 3.2 or 3.5x zoom magnification, and you have to make sure that like, see, there are flip up loops also available, but that makes it very heavy. Like even if you see like the bridge of my nose, if you see there's a mark over here, so that's after using the TTL loops I have that mark. So imagine what I've been using loops since last 7 to 8 years.
So that's because of the loop.
Because of the loops, exactly. So it is going to, so now what I've started doing is it's a very basic like solution. I've just mixed some putty, silicone putty myself. I've like made a customized thing for my loops, customized nose, this thing, rest thing for seat for my loops. So
Okay.
that's helping me a lot,
Okay.
like maximize my comfort
Got it. Favorite place or area to shop in the world?
in the world.
I mean, it can be
Oh, I
locally
hate
also,
shopping.
but anyone where you find most of your stuff.
I like gadgets, so any shop that sells gadgets, it's going to be like I can spend a lot of time over there. I like toys, so Hamleys is also a good place basically where I can spend a lot of time.
Okay, but for gadgets, where do you generally go, or where do you buy from?
It's not something now. Amazon's the thing that I buy from most of the times.
Okay.
So that has made life a lot easier.
Okay.
So yeah, and if I have my friends who are coming from US and stuff, if they are coming in, obviously the prices there are much cheaper.
Yeah.
So that also helps a lot. So if anyone is coming from there, I ask them what's the rate and stuff. And if it's not much, I just buy it from here because the warranty also becomes an issue.
True.
But yeah, I think online India, Amazon India is the best thing that I can say right now.
Right. So if you were not a dentist,
Right.
what would you be?
If I was not a dentist, okay, that's a tough question. Like, I like cars, so basically, I wouldn't mind being a mechanic also
Okay.
if I was not a dentist.
So a car mechanic and have your
car
own
mechanic.
garage.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Great answer. Worst dental purchase you have made? Something you have bought and you regret, or it did not meet your expectations.
I don't think of anything as such. But
I'm sure there must be. I mean, you've bought and you like.
regretted buying it. Okay, so that would be another loops. Like
Okay.
I got these Chinese loops during my internship, and I couldn't see anything using those loops properly. Like I couldn't practice good dentistry without the illumination though.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was the worst purchase, and I hardly used it for like a week or two.
Okay.
And that, yeah, actually that that discouraged me from using loops. So don't buy cheap Chinese loops. Like buy a decent ones, good quality ones.
And buy something for the long term.
Yeah, exactly. Buy it for the long term. You're doing it for your body, basically, your eyes and your posture.
Right. Favorite holiday destination?
I like Mahabaleshwar. That's very close to your hometown, I guess.
Really? That's a
Yeah.
That's a favorite?
That's my favorite.
Okay. Best tech gadget you have purchased?
Tech gadget. Okay, so basically it's a drone that I purchased. Like it's the recent thing that I have purchased. That are all the gadgets that I
Which
love
one is
them.
that?
Sorry?
It's the DJI one?
Yeah, the DJI Mini.
But which one?
DJI Mini.
DJI Mini.
Yeah.
And why do you? I mean, why it's your best purchase?
Yeah, so why is it my best purchase? Like during when I'm on vacations or some okay, one more thing I would like to add into it, like we recently delivered a crown with a drone from my lab to my colleague's clinic, which is located almost 1.9 kilometers away.
So you used a drone.
Yeah, I used the drone to navigate from my clinic to his place. He was on his terrace. So that was a fun thing that I did. And yeah, there are many things that you can do with a drone that you can't imagine.
I hope you have a video of that.
I have a video of that.
Okay.
And
And have you posted it somewhere?
Yeah, I have posted it on my Instagram wall.
Oh, wow, you
So-
need to go and check that out.
Exactly. So I was during I'm a certified paragliding pilot as well. So
So you did
it's
a
not
course?
something. Yeah, I did a course
Okay.
at Veer Billing. So it's not something I've tried out yet, but I would definitely like to try flying a drone along with paragliding. So obviously it won't be possible by myself, but I like to go tandem with someone. And yeah, and basically the best part about drone is we can see something that we can never imagine. So that's what motivated me to get a drone when I was paragliding. So the perspective, what you see the ground and stuff, it's very different. So that's how
Okay.
things motivated me.
Best advice you have received?
The best advice I've received is till date related to dentistry.
Anything in life, in dentistry?
Okay, so best advice I've received was from my grandfather is like, be honest, do your work with complete honesty. That's the best advice, and that's what is helping me right now.
That's what you're following right now.
Exactly.
Wow. Last thing, one thing you wish to change in the Indian dentistry scene?
The whole BDS curriculum, basically.
Like, one thing you would want to change in that
if it
curriculum?
was in my hands, obviously I'm not like, I cannot
sure
talk
you-
about such things. It's not something in my hand. Also, I may not know what the guys who decide the curriculum may be thinking.
But one thing you wish to change in that?
Yeah,
because you
so
have
I'm
gone
talking
through
about my perspective. Obviously, their perspective, they would have had force in something. That's the reason the curriculum is what we have right now.
it. Right.
But yeah, nothing against them. But yeah, what I feel is what we do in BDS, like what we practice in dental colleges, it's something that just immediately passing out of a dental college, the patients are not going to trust the dentists who have just passed out. But that's not how things should be. Like if the guys know that this is a recently passed out colleague, he should have the best skill set. Like if you see any other field, if you see the IT industry, they'll be eager to hire the younger colleagues who have just passed out as compared to someone who's more experienced. That because they have the best possible skills. That's not something that's really like that's in dentistry. In dentistry, if you see, even the patients, they'll be scared to get the treatment done under you because you're a newbie. So that's something I'll need to change there, basically the mindset. But it'll take a very long time. That's because that's something I'll blame it on ourselves, like we dentists ourselves, because that's how we have installed the fear in the common masses and public. But yeah, that's something I'll definitely like to
It will
change.
change. I think it will change.
It will change. It will
take
change.
time. And
Yeah.
with guys like you,
Hopefully.
it will change. So, Dr. Tej, thank you for coming for this podcast.
Thank you, Arif, for having me here.
Giving your valuable time on a Sunday. So, thank you. Hopefully, again, we'll meet again soon.
Definitely.
On
We'll have
episode.
another session.
Yes, and where we'll go more in depth about certain things. So
Definitely.
that's about it. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Done.
Done?
Stop. नहीं रुक हो जाएगा.
अच्छा कैसे?
कैसे था?
अच्छा
Perfect.
perfect ना?
हाँ.